If you're watching this video, I'm guessing it's because deep down, you're asking yourself the same question I've been asking myself recently. Should I let my kids have screen time? Honestly, I don't have the answer, so if that's what you're hoping for, you can stop watching now. But what I can offer you is just a little bit about what I've learned from research about screen time, a little bit about what my wife and I are trying to do with our daughter, and maybe some tips and tricks that your family could try to do. Hey guys, my name is Zach and welcome to Featuring Fatherhood, where we talk all things faith, family, and fatherhood related. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We're so glad to have you. We post videos like this every week, as well as a podcast video every week with my buddy Josiah and I. If you want to join our little community, I encourage you to subscribe, hit the bell so you'll be notified when we post a new video. And if you like this video or find it helpful, we would love it if you would hit that little thumbs up button. It actually does make a big difference. So, screen time. It's a big debate. Should our kids watch TV? Should they have an iPad or an iPhone? Should we monitor them or give them freedom? What restrictions should kids have? And how do I monitor that? I mean, does this mean that I have to give up my screen time? There's a lot of questions, but if you're asking these questions, well then congratulations, you are a good parent because you care about the well-being of your kids and are taking the time, even if it's just to think about this topic, to help them grow and develop into the best people they can be. For me, this is something I didn't think too much about until my daughter started bringing me the remote and saying, "Show." That's how she does it, she goes, "Show." The first time she did this was just a couple weeks ago, and at the same time, I was reading this book called Habits of the Household by Justin Whitley Early. And this is a great book for parents trying to build habits and rhythms into their family life that help disciple your children. And so one of the chapters is completely focused on screen time. And as I started to read this chapter, I thought, this really isn't for me. I watched a lot of screen time as a kid. I love stories and shows, and so I don't want to give that up. Sometimes it's just easier to put on a show than try to entertain my daughter. Yeah, that last one kind of made me feel a little guilty, but that's just what I was thinking. Then I read this quote from the book. "The fight is not about are screens okay, or how much screen time is too much. The fight is about whether you are forming your children or you are defaulting to letting screens form them. This is a fight for formation, and that is never easy. But it will always be worth a parent's time and energy, even if it's the last bit of time and energy you have." I mean, that hit me. You know, when I read that, I realized that I was letting screens form my daughter instead of taking the great privilege and honor God has given me to raise my daughter. Now, that doesn't mean I tossed out my TV and all my devices and we stopped using screens completely. It just means that I realized how important it is to put some limits and rules in place for my family. And I'll get to those in a minute. But first, let's look at some research on how screens affect our kids. Do a quick little Google search and you'll find tons of articles related to this topic. And they say different things. In this article by the Mayo Clinic, the author links screen time to many problematic issues such as obesity, lack of sleep, behavioral problems, and more. A National Institute for Health study found that screen time can be linked to lower scores on language and thinking tests. In a Forbes article, the author links a study done by the University of Colorado Boulder that states that these links between screen time and obesity, lack of sleep, and bad grades is a weak link at best. And they also found that kids who spend more time on screens have more close friends. And I mean, I get this. I play Xbox with a group of guys every Sunday night, and it's brought us a lot closer. So I say solid evidence. But you search the internet and you find article after article saying different things. And that's the thing. I don't think there is a perfect answer. It's not black and white and it's not written in stone. We each have to decide for our own families what is best when it comes to screen time. And so that was my next step, trying to figure out what our family was going to do to live with screen time or without it. And you could kind of call it our family liturgy on screen time. So I sat down with my wife and we got to work. And here's the things that we came up with. Number 1, no screen time in the car unless it's a long road trip and no more than 50% of the time. Number 2, no screen time out to eat. Number 3, before we resort to screen time at home, we try as many options as possible. We play with toys, we play with sensory items, we go outside, we FaceTime grandparents. And number 4, Emma and I will try to set an example of not being on our screens, and we can be playing with Amelia instead. We can watch shows when Amelia is asleep or while we're doing chores, but when we're with her, we're going to be with her. Once we had our liturgy worked out, it was time to actually put it into practice. And some days it went really well. Some days, not so much. The hardest one, honestly, to stick to was the no screen time out to eat. I mean, when your kid is crying and like everyone's looking at you, you kind of just want to give them something that will make them happy. And so, to be honest, there are some times where we broke that rule. And I think that's okay, because these rules aren't meant to make our family legalistic. They're more so to give us guidelines to try and stay within. For our family, this habit of going to screens for me as entertainment is still a new habit, which is good. It means that it'll be easier to break that habit and start moving her away from screens to toys or other activities. But that is part of the reason why I want to start working on this now, because the longer we let the habits of relying on screens to entertain her, the harder it will be to break, for her and for us. So I don't want her to grow up addicted to screens, and so I realized that I have to start that fight now. So I guess the advice I have for you is this. First, decide if this is a fight you're willing to fight. Then, figure out what your family liturgy towards screen time is, and start putting it into practice. It seems a lot harder than it actually is. I think once we get into it, once we start doing the work, it'll start to get easier and easier. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments if you have a family liturgy around screens, or if you have encouragement for other parents who might be trying to figure some of this stuff out. If you liked this video, make sure you hit that like button, and if you aren't already subscribed, please subscribe, hit the bell so you'll be notified when we post more videos. We're so thankful for you guys, we love you guys, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.